Welcome back, everybody. This is Meyer, and in this video what I want to do is talk about the first property of sound, which is amplitude. So let's get started. When we think about what or how we want to measure sound, and if you think about it for a second, how would you actually do it? If there's a sound playing, how would you measure how loud that sound is? Well, the way that people do it is they use basically a pressure meter, and they can measure the displacement of air, the pressure, how far that pressure is. And of course, it's going to depend on the distance you are to the source and all these things. But generally, it's measured in some form of pressure, which may be pascals or atmospheres or something like that, if you remember good old chemistry from high school. But that doesn't necessarily translate into our perception of sound. So the way we kind of get around this is we use a scale called decibels, which basically is defined as dB is defined as 10 times the log base 10 of the power of some signal divided by the power in some reference signal, whereas that ratio is inside the log base 10. Amplitude itself is measured in decibels, which is a logarithmic measure of the ratio between two values, once again. So this isn't really anything in particular, and this isn't even anything that's restricted to sound. It becomes restricted to sound when your reference voltage, or your S0, it looks like S0, but you just kind of say S0, is something that's measured in, let's say, pascals or atmospheres or some pressure meter, which means in order for the scale to make sense, the power in the signal you're measuring needs to have the same units as the power in your reference signal. We perceive amplitude logarithmically and not linearly based on the pressure. And if you think about it, why would it be the case that we would just magically have our brains tuned to linearly represent the way sound is defined as based on our definition of pressure? It doesn't really make sense. And when we talk more about what the scale of sound is and why and what these different scales mean, it'll make a little bit more sense as to why we actually perceive this amplitude logarithmically and not linearly.
All right, thanks for watching. In the next videos, what we're going to be doing is talking about the two different types of decibel scales that we use, which are dB-SPL or sound pressure level and dB-FS or decibel full scale. So I'll see you guys then.